Hi, welcome to Real Life Revenge. Please like, share, and subscribe. My wife once told me, go home if you're jealous. That night, I did exactly that, and her reaction the next morning was unforgettable. People say the moment you stop fighting is the moment you've already won. It took me 10 years of marriage to understand that silence can be the strongest weapon a man carries. My wife, Chloe, was always the center of attention, a social butterfly who lived for the spotlight. I was the steady one, the anchor that kept our home together. But lately, her social world had started to shut me out in ways that felt intentional and cruel. She had grown close to a coworker named Tyler, a man who sent her memes at midnight and called about emergencies on Sunday mornings. Whenever I voiced even the slightest concern, Chloe would roll her eyes and accuse me of being controlling or insecure. Have you ever been painted as the villain in your own story just for asking for basic respect in your marriage? The final straw came at a mutual friend's housewarming party. Chloe stood across the room, leaning far too close to Tyler, her hand resting on his arm as they shared a private joke that clearly didn't include me. When I approached and suggested we head home, she didn't just disagree, she humiliated me. She turned to her friends, Tyler included, and let out a sharp, mocking laugh that stung like a slap. "Oh, stop being such a buzzkill, Mark," she said, her voice thick with condescension. "Go home if you're jealous. No one's stopping you. I'm staying to actually have fun for once." The room fell silent. Everyone waited for me to argue, to explode, or to beg. Instead, a cold calm settled over me. In that moment, I realized I had been fighting for someone who had already checked out. I said nothing. I simply turned, handed my keys to the valet, and ordered an Uber home. But I wasn't going home to sleep. I was going home to begin again. If your spouse told you to leave because your feelings were inconvenient, would you sit and wait for them, or would you make sure they had nothing left to return to? I spent the next 6 hours doing exactly what Chloe told me. I went home, but I didn't stay jealous. I carefully removed every trace of myself from our bedroom. I packed my clothes, my personal papers, and the heirlooms passed down through my family. I didn't touch her belongings. I didn't break anything. I simply created an empty space where a husband used to be. I moved the spare bed into the guest room and set it up neatly, leaving the master bedroom feeling like a lifeless hotel suite. I sent one email to our landlord, giving 30 days notice and clarifying that I would cover only my half of the remaining rent. By 4 in the morning, I sat in my truck watching the sunrise, waiting for the life of the party to realize the party was over. Chloe didn't walk through the door until 7. She probably expected to find me on the couch, ready for a loud argument she could twist to justify herself. She entered with a smug smile, still glowing from Tyler's attention and the control she believed she had. "Still pouting, Mark," she called out, her voice echoing through the eerily quiet house. But when she stepped into the bedroom and saw the bare mattress and empty closets, that smug expression disappeared. Confusion turned quickly into panic. Have you ever witnessed the exact second arrogance becomes fear? She rushed into the guest room and found me sitting calmly with a cup of coffee, reading the morning news. I didn't look up. I didn't greet her. I gave her the silence she had earned. She began shouting, demanding to know what I was doing and where my things were. I met her eyes steadily. "I did exactly what you told me to do, Chloe," I said evenly. "I went home, and while I was here, I realized I don't want to stay where I'm not respected. I don't want this marriage anymore." At first, she laughed it off, calling me dramatic, but when I handed her the printed email to the landlord and the business card of my divorce attorney, reality hit. She started crying, insisting Tyler was just a friend and that her words at the party were a joke. The reaction I had been waiting for came when she checked her phone and saw the alert from our joint bank account. Earlier that morning, I had separated our finances, leaving her exactly half of our liquid assets, nothing more. "You're free to stay at the party as long as you want now, Chloe," I said, standing and picking up my last bag. "You don't have a husband to embarrass anymore." If you found yourself standing in the middle of a life you had just taken apart, watching the person who disrespected you beg for another chance, would you stay or would you walk away? Chloe tried to block the hallway, her face streaked with mascara and regret.
I stepped around her calmly, as if she were nothing more than furniture I no longer needed, and walked toward the door. I had spent 10 years being her jealous anchor, and I was finally ready to let myself drift toward a future where my presence was valued as a privilege, not treated like a joke. The months after that morning moved fast, filled with legal paperwork and shifting social circles. Still, I never once regretted the night I followed her advice and went home. Chloe tried to use our mutual friends to pressure me into coming back, but when the truth about her so-called friendship with Tyler and her behavior at the party became known, the support she expected quickly disappeared. I later heard she had to move into a small studio apartment because she couldn't manage the rent on our old place alone, and Tyler, the man she had chosen to stay at that party for, stopped calling the moment she was no longer the fun married woman with a house he could visit. I settled into a steady new routine. I focused on my career and returned to the quiet hobbies I had set aside just to keep her entertained. Over time, I realized that what she called jealousy had really been intuition, my instincts trying to protect me from someone who didn't deserve my loyalty. I saw her one last time at the final court hearing. She looked like a faded version of the woman who had mocked me that night. The arrogance was gone, replaced by the heavy understanding that she had traded long-term security for one evening of ego and attention. I signed the papers, shook her hand with a calm, distant smile, and walked out of the courtroom into the sunlight. The hardest part of being told to go home is the fear that you're being pushed aside. But once you understand that home is wherever you're treated with respect, the insult turns into an opportunity. I'm building a new home now, one where honesty is welcome and gatherings are filled with people who truly value the person beside them. I'm curious, where are you listening to this story from today? We love hearing from our community across the country, and it's always fascinating to see where these stories connect most. Did you know that nearly 90% of our viewers haven't subscribed yet? If you enjoyed this story, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It's a small action for you, but it genuinely helps us continue bringing these stories to life. And if you found this story satisfying, don't miss our next video about a shocking Reddit cheating story where a husband uncovers the truth about his wife's true revenge seeking.